Have you ever been stuck in a time loop? No? Well, that's where we are right now, in a time loop. Gotta hide. How do I know this is a time loop, you ask? Well, that's the thing. I don't exactly know. This could be my first time living this day, or it could be my 1000th time living this day. I don't know. And that's the really strange thing with time loops, is you don't know when they started, and you don't know how long they've been going on for. Hold on. Shh. Okay. All right, I think we're good. Now, what type of loop is this? This is completely different from Groundhog's Day, I can tell you that. I think I have an idea of what it is. It's a predestination paradox. And I know what you're thinking. What does a paradox have to do with any of this? Well, a paradox is a time loop and vice versa. Weird, right? Why give it two different names? Makes it more confusing. Anyways, another term for a predestination paradox is called a causal loop. But what does that mean for us?
Well, a causality loop is a sequence of events, whether it's from an object or a person, in which an event causes another event, which then in turn causes the first mentioned event. This eventually forms a loop, but its origin cannot be determined. Now, an example of a causality loop is a billiard ball striking its past self. Now, what I mean by this is that a billiard ball moves in a path towards a, let's say, time machine, and the future self of the billiard ball emerges from the time machine before its past self enters it, giving its past self a hit, altering the past ball's path and causing it to enter the time machine at an angle that would cause its future self to strike its past self, which in turn is why its path was originally altered. It's a lot, wasn't it?
Now, one thing I know for sure isn't going on is the grandfather paradox. Now, some of you might be familiar with that paradox. Say you went back in time to when your grandfather was a baby. Now, say you killed your grandfather. That means you were never born. Your mother and father never met, never fell in love, and they never had you. So if you were never born, you couldn't have traveled back in time to kill your grandfather. The paradox regards any action that alters the past, since there is a contradiction whenever the past is different from what it was. That's why I know it isn't a grandfather paradox. Now, I know that's a lot to take in, but be patient. I don't know how much time we have left. Hold on. Forgot to set something. All right.
The thing is, causal loops, they just happen. And that's why I think we're in one. There is no reason, there is no explanation for this. And that's why I feel that this is the best answer. The solution to causal loops is that they only happen because they just happen. In other words, all you need in order to justify that loop does not happen is that it just doesn't happen.
For example, say I want to go back in time and tell myself the answers to a test. The only problem is, when I was my past self, I never received that information. Because of the Novikov principle, my attempt to go back and convey that information must somehow fail. Perhaps, for example, my time machine breaks down or my message gets scrambled along the way, or knowing that my attempt will fail, I don't even bother trying. Now, I bet you're wondering what the Novikov principle is, and let me tell you, it is confusing. So the Novikov principle states that any event that were to somehow inherently form a paradox or a change in the past will eventually never happen. And what that means is that the universe basically makes sure that that event will never happen. Like I said earlier, the time machine could break down, or I could even find out that it won't work, so I just don't try anyways. And basically, this theory is saying that the universe will always make sure that it's in balance. The point is, you don't need a way to prevent causal loops. Causal loops prevent themselves by not having happened. So how are we here? Well, that's just the thing, I'm not too sure. I might know a lot of big words, but I'm still stuck here. Philosophically, it's all about whether there is free will or if there isn't free will. That's how we'll know if we are able to break the loop or not. That means there are two possibilities. One being trying to teach you how to break a causal loop. I could possibly inspire you to go back in time and study astronomy with the greats, which then in turn inspires Neil deGrasse Tyson to be in a Logic album, which in turn inspires me to use it as an example in this video. And two, my little plan that I set up earlier will demonstrate that I have free will and that I am not bound to any fate or destiny. Honestly, with how messy time is to begin with, it's extremely hard to discern whether we have free will or we're all just at the hands of fate. But this time, I think I'll be able to break the loop. I think we all might get a jolt when we hear the thing that I set up earlier right now. Right now. All right, hold on, what the hell is that?